Welcome to the Fighting on Film podcast, the podcast all about classic and obscure war movies, from the Normandy landings to the days of chivalry and swords. If it's been captured on film, we're going to try and cover it. I'm Robbie of RM Military History.
I'm Matthew Moss of Historical Firearms and the Armourer's Bench.
Hello, welcome back to Fighting on Film. This week we take a break from big reviews and we are doing one of our show and tell formats, and we haven't had one for a while. I don't think. Yeah. It's been a long time, yeah. So if you're new to the format or you haven't listened to a show and tell episode before, me and Mac? Who the hell's Mac? Me and Matt.
It's my alter ego for when we launched Fighting on Film USA.
Hey, Mac. So yeah, if you're new to the format, me and Matt pick two things, one thing each that we've seen lately or we just want to talk about, and we give you like a brief rundown of what it is. And then later on, we might revisit them, but it's just kind of, free and easy kind of episode, like show and tell at school. If you've done it ever before in the UK, listeners might have it. Do they have it in America? I'm sure they do.
I think they do, yeah. I think they definitely do that, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason that America is on my mind is this week's large question was kind of prompted by Memorial Day weekend in the States. I've seen that I think TCM had a massive war movie marathon that they did. I think they do it every Memorial Day.
I wish we still had TCM over here.
I wish we did. Yeah, we don't have it anymore. It's so annoying. But anyway, this week's large question is your favourite American war movie character and why. And by golly, we had some great responses. So I'll just read some out in no particular order. So Paul Burns goes with Lieutenant Commander Ronald Hunter from the Crimson Tide, as he and his several crewmates stop grizzled Captain Ramsey, Gene Hackman, from starting World War III. Good film, that. Then we have Kevin Getz, who says it has to be Ryan from Saving Private Ryan for merely this quote: Tell my mother I was with the only brothers I have left, and I would not abandon my post. I think she'll understand. That is quite a good part of the movie. Paul Hicks says the dark chocolate digestive answers oddball. Nephew, if you hadn't seen last week or listened last week, me and Matt had a big discussion about digestive biscuits, which culminated in a sort of battle of the biscuits vote on Twitter, and the milk chocolate gang won, Matt. So you've been bodied there, my friend.
Misguided.
I mean, Matt did get some powerful allies in Paul Hicks. He was the dark digestive destroyer.
A vocal advocate of the correct side of the biscuit debate is the words you're looking for.
I feel like this one's going to run and run. But oddball is a great answer. Lewis Hoskins said Dennis from Memphis Belle for the sole reason that I loved the film as a kid and wanted to fly a B-17 like him. That's Matthew Modine's character. Gotta admit, really great in that, isn't he?
Yeah.
Professor Fates Hannibal 8, what a name on Twitter that is. He said favourite American war movie character of all, oddball, but favourite where the movie has to be taken seriously is a tie between Lieutenant Brickley from They Were Expendable or Lieutenant Clemens from Pork Chop Hill. They both quiet pros with tough jobs, and they just sticked into it. Got to admit, yeah. Peck in Pork Chop Hill is tough as old
12
boots.
O'Clock Highs is
yeah, there were a few for him actually.
A good shout, yeah.
Yeah, they were. Then we had A.D. Bond, who put Willem Dafoe in Platoon. Sophisticat's review says First Lieutenant Aldo Rain from Inglourious Bastards, Brad Pitt's character.
That's a character whose name I never remember.
No, I wouldn't. It's
just Brad Pitt.
It's just
exactly. It's that thing where actors are just themselves on screen.
Yeah, Pitt overtakes many roles. No,
but same with Hanks to a degree, isn't it?
Yeah, they're great character actors, but their name overtakes the character, doesn't it? Because they're such big names. David Rayham goes with Oddball, Kilgore, and Schaefer. Quality picks. George Witt says the iconic cool Frank Savage from 12 O'Clock High. Yeah, you can't knock that. Rob Nichols says so many, but the first who came to mind was Sergeant Major Hefferlinger. Hefferlinger from Hail the Conquering Hero. Not seen that one myself.
I'm not familiar with that one.
No, I haven't. Harvey Griffiths says peerless performance, owns the first half of the movie, arguably one of the greatest war movie characters ever. It's Sergeant Gunny Hartman from Full Metal Jacket. I don't think you can argue with that one. Adam Brown goes with TJ King Kong from Doctor Strangelove. Recently watched that. Top film. Really looking forward to the Steve Coogan, Armando Iannucci stage production. And if I can get a ticket, I will. But they're pushing 70 quid for good seats.
Yeah.
So
Maybe we should go to Dublin for that.
maybe we should. Yeah. Or just see if it comes out in the cinema, because they sometimes do live casters.
That would be nice.
Maybe. I want to see how they do, because it's Coogan playing Strangelove, and you know the characters. I mean, I can't remember the guy's bloody name. You know who I mean.
He's doing
playing
the Sellers characters.
Yeah, he's Sellers.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. He's playing all of them, and I want to see how they do that on stage. So if it's like clever lighting or body doubles, I want to see how they do it, because I know Coogan can do it.
Oh
like,
yeah,
he's built.
God, he's
going to
be knackered after that.
He'll be absolutely knackered, but it's going to be fab. I want to see who the other casting is, because I think it'll. Obviously, Coogan's going to get people through the door, but I think it's going to work on the strength of the rest of the cast, because that movie's obviously a farce, and it, I would like Roy Kinnear as the Russian, the Russian diplomat.
Yeah,
I think
he'd be
that'd
quite
great.
good.
Yeah, and that'd be cool. Dan Brazil says, Doc Rowe, my granddad was a medic, so this hit home. P.S. I know it's a series, but come on, no, we'll give you that. Doc Rowe is one of the stronger characters from Band of Brothers. And the Dudabuys will finish off for this week before we do our own with Kelly from Kelly's Heroes. Come on, one of the greats. So Matt, what's your favorite American war movie character?
Upham from Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, really? Okay. No? Oh. Upham is really misunderstood.
Go on then. Lay out your Upham thesis for us.
He's us. He's the viewer. A lot of people watching the movie have never been in a combat situation. So he's us. He's us in that situation. You know, would you go and help two men who are having a to the death knife fight if you were in the stairwell and you could hear it and it was all horrible? Would you do that? You know, he's an innocent in the situation. And I think over the years, he's become a meme. But I think when you reappraise it and you look at it with fresh eyes, I actually think he's really important to the story in a way that I think is lost over the years. I really, and I admire the characterization, I admire the acting.
Yeah.
I think he's a good character, but I can understand why people go, oh, fucking Upham, oh, he's such a coward. I'm like, but would you do that in the same situation? Not sure I would. You know, just a little bit of Upham. I'm upping the Upham here for everyone.
You're upping him. No, I agree. No, he sprang to mind because it's the antithesis of the obvious iconic character, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
But if I was picking a more obvious one, I would go with Sam Elliott as Sergeant Major Plumley from We Were Soldiers.
That's a good one.
A, because I just really like Sam Elliott. I think he's a good actor. And B, he's great in that role.
He is. I love it when he draws his head 1911 and he's just picking lads off. It's very cowboy-esque, isn't
Gentlemen, defend yourselves.
Yeah. Great scene. And then when he goes, oh, you never drew an M16. And he goes, oh, yeah, I didn't, did I? He's just got his pistol. It's just so cool. It's so cool. Yeah, that's another movie where I feel like, yes, Mel Gibson's good, but the rest of the cast make that film.
Oh, yeah, like Mel Gibson's not the best thing about that.
No, he's definitely not.
Granted, he directed it, and it's well directed. Give him his due there, but yeah, it's a strong cast.
Shout out Barry
Elliott's a
Pepper
good example of that. Yeah, Barry Pepper's good in it. Yeah,
really good in that. It's probably one of his best roles. But yeah, we're keeping a kind of late 90s, early thousands theme this week with our picks. Mine is Sergeant Horvath from SBR.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it's probably Tom Sizemore's best role.
I did it when he throws his helmet.
That's really cool. Yeah. He says, "Oh, I thought you were my mother," all that kind of thing. And he has that sort of that argument with Ed Burns. It's really great acting. I think Michael Madsen was meant to be him in early drafts.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see that.
You can definitely see it. Or I always think like in Another World, like James Gandolfini would have done well in that.
Oh yeah, could have. Yeah.
Yeah, it needs that kind of gruff New Yorker.
Yeah,
it really works. But he's great in that.
Bit of physical acting behind it.
And I love the bit where they take out the half track near the end when they meet Ryan, and he just goes, "Who's doing the shooting? Who's doing the shooting?" It's just one of my favorite quotes I always remember. Not because it's like a famous quote or anything, but when I was little, I always knew the movie was going to get really good from that point on because you obviously got the big battle. But yeah, we'll have to do Samurai Ride at some point. We can't keep
Not
talking
until Tom
about
comes
it.
on the show.
Not
We're
until
not.
Tom or
I haven't bought a typewriter yet, so I can type a letter to him. So once I've got the typewriter, I'm going to type him a nice letter saying, "Tom, will you please come on our small, albeit very popular in Bermuda, war movie podcast."
yeah,
I don't know how we're doing in Bermuda this week. Hopefully, okay. But point remains. Need to get the typewriter. Write a nice letter to Tom.
we do.
Get him on the podcast.
We
That's
do.
the plan.
Definitely. Well, he was at an Aston Villa match a few years ago. He's a few months ago. Sorry, he was quite close to me. I could have ran over and see if I could have grabbed him.
You should have.
I should have done that. Oh well. Anyway, so
Only we'd
moving.
known.
If only we'd known. Yeah, I didn't even know he was a Villa fan. That's very weird.
No, I didn't. I'll be honest. But I saw it on social media. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe I wonder if he's gonna.
No one's perfect, are they? I suppose.
I wonder if he's gonna tour Europe with the Villa lads. I don't know, like fucking Laurent away in like the Champions League or something, like Marseille away, giving it some with the Villa boys. You can see it. Tom's got his stony zips up to his hilt, giving it some. You can see it.
Pie in hand.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to our first show and tell of the episode. Matt, what's your pick for this week?
Well, if you've seen the title or the artwork or the post on the blog, you'll already know that my pick.
Well, no, they don't know whose it is because it's still.
Oh, yeah. That's the exciting part. It's my pick.
Mind games.
Drum roll, please. My pick was, of course, Lost Battalion from 2001, which I think still stands up as a really solid little combat film. Because really, in the last 30 years, you can count on one hand how many World War One films there've been.
Big ones.
Yeah. That are competently made and are based in like the more of a combat film rather than like, I'm James Franco and I'm learning how to play a plane.
Yeah,
I'm riding a horse now.
Or one-shot gimmicks like 1917. Oh, I'm gonna catch some shade for that. It's a good film, but it's a gimmick.
So I recently rewatched it, and I was reminded how good it is because it's a TV movie.
Yeah,
2001, produced by A&E, and if you're unfamiliar, it follows the 308th Regiment Infantry Regiment, who became known as the Lost Battalion because they penetrated into the Argonne, and became cut off when the 77th Division's advance kind of stalled.
And that's what one of the lads said when they realized they got missing. They went, "Oh no, they're all gone."
Jesus,
ours are gone.
Tell you what, we're not going to be clinging on in Bermuda after that one. That was good God.
Sorry to all the Bermudians out there. That wasn't very bemusing of me. Christ, I'm gonna stop.
Where was I? Oh yeah, so I'll just run through some of the cast and crew behind it because some interesting bits and bobs in there. If you're unfamiliar with the show and tell, we don't really go full in depth. We don't do one-way reviews or reviews. We just kind of talk about elements of the film and some of the production side of stuff and bits of the cast. And it was directed by Russell Mulcahy, who's an Australian. Directed lots of music videos in the 70s. Kind of a really interesting career when you look through his credits. Did videos for artists like AC/DC, XTC, Billy Joel, The Buggles.
Wow.
Human League,
The Buggles, wow.
Yeah, he did the Video Killed the Radio Star video.
Oh my God, what a jump.
Yeah. Elton John, Queen. And then he directed the cult classic Highlander and Highlander 2.
Fair enough. Wow.
Yeah. On the Beach, the TV adaptation in 2000. More recently, he did one of the Resident Evil movies, Resident Evil Extinction in 2007. He did a interesting movie that I haven't seen, but I remember when it came out and I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting." In like Flynn, which is like a young Errol Flynn biopic.
Oh wow.
And then last year he did Teen Wolf, the movie.
Wow. So
Yeah,
a proper jobbing
yeah,
director.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like fascinating career. And he's a very, very competent director.
Mm.
I think the film Lost Battalion is really
Well, it
actually
holds up
quite,
amazingly well for a
yeah,
TV movie.
for a
Yeah.
2001 TV movie.
I think we said
Um,
I said pre-recording that it's in that boom of like made for TV movies where
mm, it
HBO had
is.
done their stuff and everyone really upped their game.
Like as you say, I think there was a lot of interest in making sort of higher end
Mm.
kind of TV movies, TV limited series, especially war-based ones at that point. Um, Written by James Karabatsos, which we'll know from Hamburger Hill and Heartbreak
Yeah.
Ridge. Doesn't have a great many credits outside
What a
of
set
those
of
couple of
credits though to
others,
have.
but those are two great ones in the war movie genre. There's a film called Heroes where it's a Vietnam vet that escapes a VA hospital to go and start a worm farm with some other vets as well
That
called
sounds
Heroes.
incredible.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I was just reading about it. And I was like,
Who's in
this
that?
sounds
Did you find out or?
yeah. So the synopsis of it is a Vietnam veteran suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder breaks out of a VA hospital and goes on a road trip with a sympathetic traveler to start a worm farm in California with his fellow veterans.
Amazing.
Does sound quite good. Um, Henry Winkler has got like he's got like a almost early 2000s emo like lad haircut going on. He's got like a massive
Like a
fringe on
wedge,
there.
like a big
Yeah,
wedge haircut. Fair
yeah.
enough.
In the poster, I mean, I'm sure in the film it's more of like a shaggy bowl cut or a mullet
Yeah.
type thing going on, but
We love Henry Winkler on the show. What a pro.
interesting premise for a movie. Then cinematography was handled by Jonathan Freeman, who's best known for his work on Boardwalk Empire and Game of Thrones. It was nominated for a couple of Emmys. It didn't win either of them, but it won a couple for sound design, a couple of awards, I should say, within the sound design sort of industry
Hmm.
award sector. And then it's a solid cast. It's led by Rick Schroeder, who plays Major Charles Whittlesey, the battalion commander. He was a child actor. He had a role in Crimson Tide. He was in a film called Too Young the Hero about a young boy who forged his mother's signature so he could join the Navy in World War One.
Sounds good.
Lots of TV shows and films. And then we've got Phil McKee, who is a British actor. He was in Band of Brothers years back. He was in Dracula. Lots of British TV and American TV actually.
Mm.
Hugh Fraser in a very, very small role as a French general, General de Coppet. What a great French name
Fair enough. Yeah.
for the character there. And Hugh Fraser probably best known for like Poirot and being Wellington in Sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, those kind of roles. And then just rounding it out with just a casual Wolf Carla mention.
Nice.
Um, Appears as the General Friedrich Wilhelm von Scheibel, who is the sort of general who rails at the lower ranking German officers. Is like, why haven't you beaten these Americans yet?
Yeah.
That kind of
They're a
thing.
lost battalion. Like, come on.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a solid little cast. A couple of interesting other bits and bobs. Um, I really actually do want to cover the 1919 film Lost Battalion
Yes. Yes.
because the entire cast, most of the cast, in fact, um, is made up of the actual individuals. So
Mm.
Whittlesey's in there, McMurtry, I believe, a couple of other
Yeah.
private soldiers and
I think we
NCOs as
were
well.
planning an episode comparing them, weren't we? Back
We
a
were,
few months ago. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely on the cards. Mm.
yeah. I mean, I love this film, but I would it'd be really great to take a look at the silent. It's quite a long silent film as well. It's
Yeah. They
like an
tended to be, didn't they?
hour and 20,
Yeah.
25. Um, but it's available online. I have seen that it's
Okay.
available online. I think it might
Cool.
even be on YouTube. So I do need to just sit down and watch it. Because I've been meaning to do it because I love the fact that it's the original cast.
Yeah.
And of course, Whittlesey committed suicide because he had post-traumatic stress
Oh
and felt
wow.
responsible for
Didn't know
calling
that.
in
Wow.
Apparently, he felt responsible for calling in artillery on the wrong coordinates that led to some friendly fire.
Right.
He booked a passage to somewhere on a ship and killed himself on the first night. Jumped overboard or some such thing. Don't quote me on that. I haven't read into it fully. But a bit of a tragic tale.
Yeah. Bit movie in itself, that, couldn't it?
Honestly, yeah, just following Middlesea's career, because I think he was a lawyer, joined the army, won the Medal of Honor. Obviously struggled post-war, because he'd have made the film in 1919 and then he killed himself in 1921.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I mean, all in all, you've seen the movie, you know it's good.
I have. It's very, very good. Yeah.
It was one of my faves as a kid, like 11, 12-year-old. Matt was like, "Oh, this is really good. World War One movie that's competently made. Nice."
Yeah. It's got that line about show shots in it that's a bit iffy.
It does.
I remember that
It's like, well, it's like, why are we going to use these French weapons? Not a bad line.
No, it's not.
And they all have Enfield M1917s.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, the alley's good. It's well propped. You know, the mise en scène or the prop works very good, isn't it?
Mise en scène is great. It's well shot. Although I was saying just before we came on air that it could do with regrading, because it's got that classic 10 of the millennium. We've got to put some blue hue on this.
Give it a grey blue huing on this. Yeah.
You all don't look grey enough for me.
Yeah.
We need more grey.
It is one of those movies that could benefit from a Blu-ray release, but because A&E obviously probably still own it, they still own the IP, I guess. So,
does it make enough sense monetarily to do
probably
that?
Not. You would probably think, but it would be lovely to have it.
It would be, and for a TV movie, it's got great scale. There's some ropey bits, like there's a couple of number 4s creep in, and there's some wobbly bayonets, but you get that in big pictures.
You do, yeah.
Decent cast, good script from Karabatsos. It's probably one of the best combat war movies made in the last 30 years. World War One movies, that is.
That's a big shout from you, Matt. Blimey.
Yeah, I think it is. Because you can still count them on two hands over the last 30 years, that films that have attempted to do a World War One.
There aren't many. There's that Aussie one coming out very soon in July.
Yeah.
That I'm really looking forward to.
All in all, not a bad film at all. It stands
solid
up.
Picture.
Yeah. I like to reappraise it, I guess, once I've read more into the actual realities behind the
it's well worth
Lost
an episode.
Battalion.
If you haven't seen it, folks, it's well worth your time.
This is 5 to Alpha. Contact now. Agreed. 852-676. Approximately 4 tanks and 10 APCs moving directly towards the wood. I'm observing, over.
Hello, Sunray. Fighting on Film has partnered up with warfaremedia.net to give our listeners exclusive discounts on a range of high-resolution Cold War adverts, propaganda, and recruitment posters. From blowpipes to nuclear threats to weapon schematics, Warfare Media has you covered. Visit warfaremedia.net today and use the code FOF20 at checkout for 20% off high-quality Cold War posters. I repeat, FOF20 at checkout. Over.
Roger, out to you, and take action now. Send us SITREP as soon as possible. Over.
What's your pick this week, Rob?
So my pick this week is, I mean, you'll definitely know what my pick is now, because you've let yours out of the bag. But my pick this week is a TV series for a bit of a change of pace. And it's called The Four Just Men. And it's a 1959 series, and it was made by ITC, Sapphire Films for ITC Entertainment in 1959. Episode 1 is called The Battle of the Bridge, and it went out on Thursday, September 17th, 1959. And it was directed, you're gonna freak at this, Matt. Episode 1 is directed by Basil Dearden.
Right.
Of The Captive Heart, The Ship That Died of Shame, and The League of Gentlemen and Khartoum.
Oof.
And he would go on to direct 13 episodes of a 39-episode run.
Wow. I have seen this one, actually. I haven't seen all of them, because I don't think they're all online anymore, are they? Some of them are, some of them aren't. You can watch some on YouTube. And I'll say it quietly. There are some on Internet Archive. And Talking Pictures TV runs them every now and then. And I think there's one episode on their catch-up service, and there's a DVD of it as well. So it's quite easy to find. It's very obscure, got to admit.
for today's standards, but at the time, it's quite a big production with big names attached. And I'll get to some of those names later. But the series itself, to give you a brief rundown of the plot, the series sees the four men tasked with fighting injustice and tyranny across the globe, using their late friend Colonel Cyril Bacon's estate to fund their adventures. Each episode sees one of the main cast undertake a mission or like a task that they be given, with at least one of the other cast members making an appearance. So it's an ensemble piece, kind of, but they're only ever on screen as a four-piece, like once or twice.
They've got that. They're in a room, aren't they? And it's filmed them all together, and that kind of gets reused
a lot. Yeah, and it's inspired by the 1905 book of the same name by Edgar Wallace.
Give it Guy Ritchie. Give the IP to Guy Ritchie. Let him make a Four Just Men.
That'd be cool. Take that.
Yeah.
So I'll go through
kind of his area in it, really. Well, Matthew Vaughn. Give it to Matthew Vaughn. He'd do something
Matthew
Vaughn
would be cool. Yeah, no. This could get a remake. You could modernize this very easily. So I'll give you the cast, and then I'll jump back to production because it won't make sense.
They're all in Afghanistan.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
Funny, wouldn't it? That'd be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So that's all right. So the cast is, you've got Jack Ryder, played by Richard Conte. He's a high-profile lawyer. Richard Conte, obviously famous for The Godfather, Guadalcanal Diary, and Ocean's 11. You have a character called Tim Collier. He's a foreign correspondent played by Dan Daly, who was in What Price Glory and The Wings of Eagles. Then you have Ben Manfred, who's an MP and like a social reformer. I think it's implied that he might be like a left-wing MP.
A socialist?
I know. And he's played by none other than Jack Hawkins of The Cruel Sea and League of Gentlemen. Big names. And then we have Rico Picari, who works with like underprivileged children in Rome. He's seen as like a sort of like a what you'd say, like a sort of another social reformer type kind of man,
like a
philanthropist.
Philanthropist, yeah.
Yes. And he's played by.
To say that then.
You did, yeah. He's played by Vito Discea, and he was in A Farewell to Arms and Bicycle Thieves. He was a Oscar-nominated actor. And then you have some guest stars as well. So episode 1, Battle of the Bridge, you have Cyril Bacon, played by Anthony Bushell, who was in A Night to Remember, The Scarlet Pimpernel, and for Matt, he played General Green in Quatermass and The Pit.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, there we go. Always get a Quatermass thing if I can. There's other really big guest stars in this as well. There's actors that would go on to become big names in the decades following. So you have people like Judi Dench, Patrick Troughton, Fenella Fielding, Donald Pleasance, and Charles Gray, who was Blofeld. Yeah, so it's a real big stew of actors, but it's very good for its time. So I'll just jump back to production, then I'll tell you about the episode. So other notable Hawkins episodes include Manfred uncovering a plot involving a Holocaust survivor that's called Survivor. That's got Donald Pleasance in it. You have Village of Shame, where Hawkins uncovers a murder involving a German World War II veteran in a small French village that have kind of shunned him. And then you have the Deserter, where Hawkins helps a British officer who's been accused of desertion on an island that's like an allegory for Cyprus or Greece at the time. So obviously you're like late 50s, early 60s. And that's got a really, really weird gas-operated Sten gun in it. And you can see the pipe going up the guy's arm. It's very bizarre.
Like the one from Guns Navarone.
It's very much like that. Yeah. So Jack Hawkins took the role because at the time he's coming off of his big fame of Cruel Sea, he's doing a lot of film work, and he took the job because he thought that such a highly produced and big starred cast would net him really big royalty fees. But obviously that's something you don't get from TV work. So I think he was a little bit sore that the series did well, but he didn't get any royalties. He just got paid a flat fee like you do. So that's a little bit of a tidbit there. And episode 1 was shot on location at Walton Studios in Surrey. And the episode was co-written by Don Castle, who worked on Lassie, Miriam Granger, who was an uncredited producer on Citizen Kane and worked on Lassie. And Matt will know this name, Gene L. Kuhn of Star Trek, the original series.
Yeah.
Wow.
I recognize that name. Yeah.
I know.
I think didn't he write some of the, oh God, which one did
he wrote? 13 episodes of the original series.
Did he write Balance of Terror?
He may have.
I don't know. But yeah, no, I recognize the name, definitely.
That is the general sort of rundown of the Four Just Men. So episode 1 is called obviously the Battle of the Bridge, and it's a real sort of series opener. Richard Conte meets everybody, and he does the whole. It's a lot of expositional dialogue. So he goes, "Oh, Ricardo, how are you doing in Italy? I've read the reports on, the children must be doing fantastically." And then he goes to Jack Hawkins and goes, "Oh, Manfred, oh, you're still an MP." He goes, "Oh, yes, the people who want to make the most changes have to shout the loudest." You get a very brief introduction to their characters, and then they are called back into this big house, and you hear essentially the last will and testament of their friend Cyril Bacon, who had passed away in the weeks before they met in the episode. And we go straight to flashback, and they're on a mission in World War II, and it's in Italy or Sicily. I can't really work out where, but just before the 1943 invasion. And it starts on a submarine, very Commando 8 book-esque stuff. And their mission is to take out a bridge in the town of Melina to stop a panzer division from attacking the invasion force. And it's essentially a 24-minute mini World War II movie, very 50s-esque World War II film.
Right.
And I'll just run you through some of the alley, because
It's like a mini Operation Faustian then.
It really, really is. Yeah.
I have seen it. Because you sent me it.
Fantastic.
God, was it
a year and a half ago?
Was it during the pandemic?
I think it still might have been.
It was a while back.
Yeah. The reason I uncovered the series, and obviously I'm not saying I've uncovered Four Just Men. It got shown on TV like a few months ago. I watched a series that Barry Norman did in the 80s called The British Greats, and there's a brilliant Jack Hawkins episode, but it was on YouTube, but it got pulled, and in that I learned of this. But it's such a shame you can't find that documentary anymore, because it's like the definitive Jack Hawkins doc, and it's got loads of TV interviews that he did after he'd had his throat surgery, and some public appearances he did at charities, and they're fantastic, but you can't watch them because they were in that documentary. Such a shame. Anyway, getting back to some of the alley. So in typical flashback style, they don't recast the men. They play them as they are in 59. So I kind of like how they're remembering it. I think they're remembering it, thinking about how they look now. I like this. It's a nice little tidbit. And you have, and I wrote this in capital letters, you have Hawkins in a Denison smock 37 pattern pistol order with an M1928 Thompson. If that doesn't sell this episode, nothing will. It's incredible.
It was good. My abiding memory of it is him coming out of a bush with a Sten gun in hand.
Yeah. And rattling it off. Yeah, it's brilliant. And then some other things you have Mark 1 star Stens that are kind of rare to see.
Very, very.
Germans with World War I Gewehrs with the big butcher kind of style bayonet. That's really nice to see. In typical 50s war movie style, you have a Bedford QL being used by the Germans, which automatically gave it legendary status in Fourth Towers.
Absolutely.
There's a Kubelwagen, Conte, and Decia are in M55 jackets with M1 helmet liners on. It's just peak 50s war movie, B movie kind of stuff. And there's a 50s Land Rover in the end at the end that makes an appearance. It's just great.
So much quality vehicle.
It's really, really good. It's really well paced. It's fun. Like there's a little bit of tension. There's a part where the character of Bacon goes, "We have 12 minutes to wait. We have to wait 12 minutes to blow the bridge to coincide with the invasion gun batteries going off from the coast, from the sea." So and when he says we have 12 minutes left, there is about 12 minutes left of the episode. So I like the pacing of it. It's really well done. It's just a fun series, and if you can find it, if you have time, you can search these episodes. They're quite fun. Like it's nice seeing Hawkins in a very typical Hawkins role, but every episode is a different thing he's got to do. The deserter episode's really fun because there's more to that episode than is the guy actually a deserter. Spoiler, he's not a deserter, but there's a reason why he's not a deserter. It's really well written stuff. They're under half an hour. They're very time capsule of their day, but it's just very interesting. I just really like it, and I just wanted to highlight it because I think it's a really fun little little thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, what a great cast,
Mm.
and what an interesting premise for
Yeah.
doing an anthology kind of series.
Yeah,
where you
they're
can
all
do something different.
self-contained. They're all kind of there's someone having been wronged, or there's a right to make happen.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's an episode, it might be with Conti or Daly, where a like a atomic scientist like gets accused of like dosing people with radiation, and there's this big like atomic fear episode, and there's a later one where I think Jack Hawkins uncovers an IRA plot or something. It's all a bit
The
madcap.
Hawk foiling the Ra, amazing.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Good Lord.
But as I say, unless you buy the DVD, not all the episodes are out there, but there's a good chunk of them that show up on YouTube every now and then. And the rips are quite nice as well. It's just a little fun little thing. And even if you just watch episode 1, it's worth it. You know, kind of in a way for me, I like looking backwards at that kind of stuff because we don't think of TV being that high budget, that kind of done that way back in the day.
No, it's true.
So that a series like this highlight that no, they were getting big stars in on TV. They were trying to make, you know, big budget, big landmark TV series. And I think the series did pretty well. And it must have done because it got a DVD release and it's been re-shown on TV.
That's very true. I mean, I'm sure there's a whole host of shows made around the same time that they'll never get a DVD release.
Exactly. And if you're a Hawkins completionist like I am, it's well worth your time because he gives some great performances. Jack Hawkins wasn't the kind of actor to half-assed it, but he really giving it his all in these episodes. I think there's moments where he has to like fight people. He's running across rooftops under fire in one of the episodes. It's just fun. You know, it's such a fun series. It's really boys' own kind of stuff, and I love it. So I thought I'd mention it this week.
When did it run from until?
1959, September 59 until I think early 1960, because the Survivor episode comes out in 1960 with Donald Pleasance. There's a great shot of him. I've never been able to find the episode online, but there's a great picture of him holding a Webley up at Hawkins, which is cool.
Ooh, Pleasance on the Webley.
Very early Pleasance as well. It's pleasant to see some Pleasance. But yeah, one of them great little series that you come across and you think, I've got to tell the FOF fans about this because I think they'll enjoy it.
Yeah, no, the ones that I've seen I really enjoyed. And the first one is fun. Even with the weird gas stens.
Yeah, they only appear once. Not every episode has weaponry.
Not in that
military.
episode, but yeah.
No, the Hawkins episodes are more war orientated because I think obviously that's what he was known for. I think there's a couple of Conti ones that have a bit like that. Yeah, there's one episode I think where Hawkins has to sort of sort out someone's will or something. It's a bit of a weird one.
He's like going through the paperwork. Oh, he's not even paid up his prudential here. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Right, yeah. So that was Show and Tell episode, whatever it is. I think we're on maybe 8 or 9.
Yeah. It's been a while though. We haven't done one for quite a while.
And in the next coming up on the show, I think we have a D-Day special, but we're not 100% on what that will be yet. So stay tuned for that one if it happens.
Depends on whether I can get that letter off to Tom Hanks.
Yeah, exactly. Better start typing now, Matt. Come on. And yet again, thanks for listening to the show. Do follow us on all the socials. And we'll catch you next time on Fighting on Film. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.